Welcome to the Let's Talk Life podcast. And in today's video, I'm going to speak on not ignoring God's lessons or not ignoring what God is putting in front of you. Because a lot of times we try to go off on our own understanding out in this world and we try to rely on the things that we see or rely on the things that we already experience or rely on, our own thoughts or our own actions to get us through everything. This recent experience that I got to experience reminded me of everything that I'm working towards and everything that I'm trying to change about my being. From my egotistic mindset to my narcissistic habits to my insecurities being displayed on max volume. All of those things that I'm still working on, I try to do by myself. I try to I try to subside with my ego and try to get rid of it on my own. I try to stop being so insecure on my own. I try to just sit there with myself and, talk to myself about these things. My narcissistic habits, I try to not display those onto people, or I try not to really, sit there and let those things come out. It's because I try to work on all of those things like out in the open. I try to work on those things to where it's like, I can acknowledge it out in the open. Because when I'm closed off and when I'm by myself, I don't really think about those things. I don't really think about the way that I used to move as an individual. My biggest things are the way I used to treat people or the way people used to treat me, or just like some of the neglectful experiences or some of the experiences in my childhood life. Those are the things that I really reflect on. I was reminded that as positive as I am and as hardworking as I am and as inspirational as I am, I have flaws. And I'm not upset with myself that I still have these flaws. I'm not discouraged because I still have these flaws. They're going to make me work harder and they're going to make me do a lot better in life. I'm recording this video because God is going to be the biggest factor of this journey. I try to I try to like do these things by myself. I try to go out in this world and, live my day-to-day life just by being me. You feel me? I can do that. But I for some reason it's this mental block that forgets to acknowledge God every day. That forgets to give God the praise every day. That forgets to sit here with God and just, accept everything that's going on. It's like having ultimate faith in what's going on. It's not like I don't have faith in myself and that I don't believe in myself that I can get everything that I want. It's like I my ego is so like my ego is used to being the forefront of my life that, you know, it's hard to like really dial it in all the time. My ego projects itself into a lot of areas of my life. And like coming to that realization, I'm not mad at myself. I just need to learn how to, control that, let my ego not be my identity. Because the ego parts of my identity, as I was reminded, talks about himself a lot, judgmental, insecure, you know, constantly seeks the need for validation. I don't want to live my life like that no more. And I'm not going to live my life like that no more. I get confused with the whole process of trusting God or trusting what's going on around me because I'm so used to things not working out the way I see them to or working out the way that, benefits me. I'm so used to life just, you know, doing what it do and I'm used to getting the short end of the stick. And there have been times in my life to where like I've been blessed with so much, but those things have been taken away from me. So it's like I grew to become ungrateful a little bit too, but at the same time I grew to become self-reliant. I rely on myself for a lot of these things. I rely on myself to make the most important changes. I rely on myself to take control of everything that I can control. And I rely on myself to, you know, really dial in on the moment. All of these things I do have control over. I'm not saying I don't. It's just all of these things I have to implement God into the picture in order for it to prosper, in order for it to stick, in order for it to really make beneficial changes. Because as I walk with God and walk with myself, I've realized that on my own, the decisions I make are meaningful, but they don't last. They don't set me up for like a long-term fulfillment. But when I walk with God and I make those decisions God tell me to make, like I genuinely start to feel that I get this feeling inside of me that really just shifts everything. It's like I know for sure this is going to pay off. I know for sure that God has everything in control, and I know for sure that God is going to make a way however He makes a way. It doesn't have to be within days, weeks, months. For me, it could be years. It could be later down the line. You know, God's going to fulfill His promise towards me. And, you know, sometimes I don't know what that promise is. I don't know what God is promising me. You feel me? I just know God is telling me to continue to have faith, continue to lean on Him through the devastating times, through the good times, through the bad thoughts and the good thoughts, through the ups and the downs. God is calling me back to Him because I keep trying to do these things on my own. I keep trying to go off in this world and live the life that I truly want to live, but I don't include God into it. The same entity that created this whole existence that I get to experience. I don't neglect, but I don't embrace. I'm not a person that knows everything, and I'm not a person that wants to figure out everything out in the world. I'm a person who genuinely just grew up through a hard background and through hurt and through trauma. And I took all of that and I've started to live a better life. I took all of that and I was like, I can't hold on to none of this no more. I have to release it some way, somehow. And through God, I've been learning how to better myself. Like with these things that I've experienced. Through God, I've learned how to let go of my anger. Through God, I've learned how to talk to people better. Through God, I've learned how to encourage people to live a lifestyle that, you know, sets them up for fulfillment. Through God, I learned all of these things. It's just my whole life I've been so caught up with myself, and my whole life I've been so caught up with everything that I've went through or everything that I've dealt with that I never really took the time to look around. I never took the time to really acknowledge what's around me or what I have going for me or what other people may see inside of me that I don't see. That ego has been my identity for so long that now that I'm disassociating from it, it's trying its hardest to get back in my life. I've done so much work over the last year alone on improving my health, like spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. I've done so much work over the last year. And mentally, like, I'm starting to get to those better sides of, you know, prospering. You know, like, I'm no longer, like, sitting here and, you know, having the perspective of which, like, I used to have where I used to just let things happen and, you know, I didn't care. And, you know, I used to just flow with the wind and, you know, take it where, like, go wherever it take me. I didn't like, when I talk to myself and I really think, I don't like living like that. I don't like just going with the flow of life. I want to go with the flow that God has created. A flow that, brings me meaning. A flow that brings me fulfillment. A flow that brings me the happiness that I'm seeking. When I go off on my own, I genuinely, I'm genuinely lost. When I try to do these things myself, I genuinely get confused. When I try to do these things myself, I genuinely look around and feel like there's nothing there. I gotta get back with God. I gotta tune into the voice that God is placing inside of my heart. I gotta have faith that God is working on everything that He's supposed to be working on. I gotta have faith that God is going to continue to fulfill His promise. Not knowing what that promise is, it's like I'm always trying to understand something that I may never understand. It's like I'm at a constant battle with myself. At some points, I can sit here and accept that, I don't have everything figured out, and God is working his mysterious ways like always, and He's gonna do everything that He said. And then there's times to where it's like I gotta take action. I gotta go off on what I know. I gotta sit here and do everything that I gotta do in order to make something happen, or make my dreams come true, or you know get this person out of the hole that they're in, or get myself out of the hole that I'm in. With God, God is gonna do all of that. With God, He's gonna bring me out of that hole. He's gonna bring that person out of that hole. He's gonna bring all of us together under His name, under Christ. In this world, it's so easy to get consumed with worldly things. It's so easy to grow attached to the things that are here every day. It's so easy to really sit here and just look at these things and get so amazed by them, because like these are the things we get to see. These are the things that we get to experience. It's like you don't have no real visual God. You don't really get to look at God. You don't get to really touch God. You don't really get to hold God's hand and walk with Him. So it's like with me, and this is just me personally, like if I can't see something, it's hard for me to believe it. And it's not that I don't believe in God and I don't already embrace God. It's just I get to going off of my own understanding a lot of the times. I get to going off of my past experiences. I get to going off of what I've already seen or what I've already known to be true. You know that one saying where it's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Yes, you can. It's just, is that old dog gonna do what's required to learn those tricks? And that's what I'm dealing with right now. No, I gotta continue to work on the things that bring me back towards God, and continue to work on the things that elevate me in my relationship with God. It can be things as reading the Word, connecting with my church, getting active within my community, Bible studies, or just reaching out to people within my community who are already like in tune with their relationship with God. Because me personally, I'm not in tune with my relationship with God because I still struggle with my thoughts of myself. I cast a lot of my worries and my anxieties onto God, but after that, it's about that work that comes with it. You can't just pray and not take action. That's something that I've dealt with. I've prayed about a lot of things, but I haven't took action on actually making these things come into fruition. Because God is going to make things happen regardless, or like you do anything or not. You can sit here and be complacent your whole life, but God gonna show you the things that you need to see, and God gonna show you the things that you don't really need to be around. Like within my spirit, I have what it takes. You know, within my relationship with God, I have what it takes to keep growing. Keep doing the things that's required of me. Keep doing the things that sets me up for a better relationship with God. I have all of that with this side of me. With me being new to this journey, and also with me still holding on to a lot of things that's inside of me, like insecurities, my ego, narcissistic habits, neglectful thoughts. Like with all of that, like I gotta get to a point to where I can give it to God, and finally have faith that all of these things are gonna work themselves out. Like it's like with me, it's like I have sparks of faith. I'll be so in tune with God, and everything will be going right. You know, everything could go good, and then like when everything is going good, or when everything is going how it's supposed to, I start to get comfortable again, and I start to keep going off and keep going, and then God humbles me every single time, puts me into a situation to where it's like, I'm gonna let you try to work this out on your own. I'm gonna try to let you figure this out by yourself. I'm gonna try to let you see that you need me more than you think you don't. I've been put into plenty of positions over this last 2 weeks, 3 weeks alone, to where it's like I have to go back towards God. Because if I don't, I'm gonna always be lost within my thoughts, neglectful towards how I feel, and I'm always gonna have these issues within me that God is working to heal. God doesn't start healing you immediately because He wants you to stay with Him. He wants you to keep coming back to Him. He's not going to do everything you want Him to do on your time, because if He do everything on your time, would you really say you need Him? No, you'll just go back to living your life. And I'm kind of glad it's happening this way, because these type of realizations are needed. These type of thoughts are needed. I haven't been to church in like a month, and I kind of think about that. Like, church isn't really a place to where you worship God. Church is where you really get to acknowledge that it's not just you on this journey with God. And you get to be more grateful. You get to be more at peace, and you get to be more mindful that it's not just you. It's not just you who's experiencing life on the day to day, and it's not just you who really needs a better way of getting things off your chest, or a better way of really acknowledging yourself. It's not just you. And it's not just you who wants better for yourself, or for the people around you, or for the community that you live in. That's what church is for me. Church is like a home. Church is more so like people coming together and really just holding hands and being like I take what you experienced. I take what I experienced. I take what the next person experienced. And we all just gonna sit here and bond together and just acknowledge that God is here throughout it all. Through the good and the bad. Through the ups and the downs. The smiles and the frowns. Like, God is always gonna be here. Whether you may know it or not, or whether you may feel it or not, God has always remained with you. God has always sat here with you every single time that you've been going through something, every time that you've been dealing with something, every time that you felt like there was nobody to understand you, there was nobody to call on, or there was nothing you can do. God was always there. I get so caught up with this world, and I get so caught up with my own thoughts, let alone my own actions, that I forget to go back to where I came. I came from God. The essence that remained inside of my soul and my spirit, it came directly from God. I can't keep going off on my own understanding, and I can't keep going off on the things that I'm used to, or the things that I experienced growing up, because those things right there, they just bring me back to a point where I'm disconnected. I'd prefer to live a life with more fulfillment, with more daily happiness, and with more, conscious decisions and conscious choices. That first choice I gotta make is acknowledging God before I do anything throughout my days. I gotta acknowledge God the moment I wake up, throughout my day, before I go to sleep. I gotta remember that it's not me. It was never just me. It was never the individual. It was always us.